What's up guys, Coach Az. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I want to talk to you about what you should do and how you should approach getting knocked out. It's a bit of a sensitive subject, and if you've ever experienced it, it can be very embarrassing. It can leave you in quite a depressed and sad state, but I think it's really important that you know and understand what you should be doing for both your health and your well-being if this ever happens to you. Now, I'm coming at you as someone with experience, both firsthand being knocked out myself in competition, but also secondhand as a coach and seeing it on the circuit around kickboxing. I've seen it happen many a time, and I've seen different people deal with it in different ways. Now, I'm not going to delve too much into the detail of what being knocked out means in terms of what it does to you physically. You can do your own research on that. But the short version of it is that your brain is encased in a fluid. It kind of floats around in your skull. And when you take this big, huge impact, what happens is your brain rattles around and it hits the side of your skull. Your brain is covered in neurotransmitters, and when they hit, they send all these signals around the brain. And effectively what happens is you get an overload. So there's just way too much information going on through to the brain, and the brain does a hard reset. And this is why you physically see someone stiffen up as they fall to the floor, because it causes almost a paralysis. And you also see that they lack certain memory afterwards. They don't remember what happened. They might not remember a few hours or period after the event, and even some stuff before. Again, I highly recommend that you do some research on this and read a little bit deeper into what physically happens so that you can understand the effects of repeated brain trauma. My personal experience with it happened to me once, and it was in competition. I got kicked in the head and it knocked me out cold. Now, what I remember of the event is I went down and I got immediately back up. And I remember talking to the ref and talking to my coach and insisting that I was fine and I was good to continue. However, in watching a replay a little bit later on in the day, I realized that I was actually down there for a couple of minutes. But like I said, that whole memory thing, it just causes you to completely forget a lot of the key details. Now, obviously, after this, I was feeling extremely confused, and then I started to feel very down. This was a 2-day event, so I was also scheduled to fight again on the Sunday, but that wasn't going to happen because I had taken this injury, so I was now signed off medically. But I remember being really upset about it, and my ego was extremely triggered. My chimp brain just wanted to get back in there. All it wanted to do was right that wrong, whether it be in the competition or being back in the training room when I got back to my classes. Now, this was back in the day. I was young, I was dumb. So when I got back from this tournament, I immediately jumped back into training, and that was my first big mistake. So before I get too far ahead of myself, let me talk about what you should do immediately after if this happens to you. Number 1, go get seen by a doctor. Go get seen by a professional. Make sure that you get checked out. Make sure that they check that your motor functions are normal, that your speech has returned to normal. Ideally, you want to get yourself a brain scan to see that no permanent damage has been done. Now, obviously, I am not a doctor, so disclaimer right here that I am not trying to give you medical advice or tell you exactly what to do. Please ensure that you seek professional advice. I'm just going to talk about my experiences in hopes that it can help you out in the future. Following that, here's what you definitely should not do. This is what I did. I returned to training. I got straight back into sparring, and I was trying to right the wrongs that had happened to me. I was trying to work on my defense for this head kick, trying to pick apart what happened immediately after to ensure that it didn't happen to me again. However, in the process of this, and if you've ever worked on trying to plug up a hole in your game, you know a big part of that is you're going to make that mistake again and again until you learn how to correct it. So what was happening? Well, I was getting hit in the head again. Now, I wasn't getting hit anywhere near as hard as I did in competition, and obviously this was with all full protective equipment. However, it was affecting me. I was getting flashes, I was getting dizzy, and I wasn't able to take the shot the way I probably would have been able to prior to what happened. Effectively, what was happening here is I was training with a broken arm and trying to punch with it. When it comes to treating yourself after being knocked out, you need to treat it as if you've broken a bone. The problem is that 48 hours after being KO'd, you're going to feel okay. Your speech will probably be fine, your movement will be fine, everything will look okay on the surface. But what you don't see and what you don't understand is that your brain is still most certainly in a process of healing. Take that analogy of the broken arm. If you go to a doctor and you get your arm set, that means that the bones are now exactly where they need to be, but it doesn't mean that they've healed. After you get knocked out, your brain will eventually get back to exactly where it's meant to be, floating within the fluid, but the damage is still there and the effects of it linger on after the event occurred. So obviously speak to your doctor. Again, I am not a medical professional, but what I will say to you is at least 2 months after the injury occurs before you do any form of sparring or contact training. You can still exercise, you can still move, and I wouldn't even do that for at least 2 weeks after to really allow yourself to heal up. For the first 2-3 weeks, you don't want to bounce, you don't want to move around, you don't even want to challenge your brain mentally. You actually want to just let this thing rest. You want to get plenty of sleep. You want to eat plenty of healthy foods, including healthy fats, fish oils, omega-3s, all of that good stuff that's brain food to let it heal at its best. You want to stay adequately hydrated. Your brain is like 70% water, so plenty of fluids. Make sure that you're giving it what it needs so that it can heal up. Now, once you've gone through this process and you've been signed cleared by a doctor, everything is a-okay, and it's been a good couple of months without you taking any impact whatsoever, and you want to now return to training. Here's what I'll say on it. Do not obsess with what happened when you got KO'd. So don't now go into the gym and be laser focused on righting that single wrong. Get back to regular training and obviously assess what happened. If you've got video, watch back the video, work with your coaches, talk to your partners, and start trying to train and correct what went wrong. But don't obsess over it. Continue to train regularly and normally, and just understand that maybe there's 1 or 2 things that you need to change and make up for. Now, what I'm not going to get into today is the whole debate about whether or not you should get hit in the head at all, if you should be doing this professionally, if it's worth it, all of this stuff. That's all a very personal choice. Take a boxing world champion or a Muay Thai world champion and ask them if it was worth it to get hit in the head. They're going to tell you yes. As an amateur, if you're just doing this for fun, then obviously your health, your well-being, being there for your family is far more important than winning some little fight and getting a little trophy. But at the end of the day, that's your decision to make. All I'm here to do today is to try and give you a guideline to make sure that you get through this in the healthiest way possible and limit any long-term damage that might occur. The last thing I'll say on this, guys, is that getting knocked out does change you. It changes you as a fighter. It might make you more defensively wary, it might make you more careful, it might make you a little bit more passive and reserved. It's not a bad thing. It just means that you've changed. It means that you've evolved. We either win or we learn. So this is a learning experience for you. The most important thing, of course, is your health. So if you notice any changes in terms of your speech or your motor function or your ability to remember things, it might be time to hang up the gloves. This doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be involved in the sport. You can take a coaching role on, you can get more involved in assisting at your gym, but it just means that it might be time to stop taking shots to the head. Guys, I hope this video has been helpful. If there's anything else you'd like to hear my opinion on, then please comment down in the comments below. As always, please hit the like button. It helps more people see the video. Subscribe to the channel. We've got new videos coming out every week, and I will see you on the next one.